Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Concerned Citizens Media again. I am back. Couple of my video from previous recording delayed due to some technical issues. The challenge of copyright claims. So due to that one, the reporting I did I fixed one today, but it delayed. So I apologize for that one. And it's a challenge when you start recording and uh, try to play your part on the issues. There are so many challenges, and one of the challenges to deal with copyright. So because of that, automatically some of the videos blocked. So I have to find a way to remove the claims and publish them again. So that's why I delayed from the schedule. So I came back with some news for today, and I have only a couple of videos. One about the upcoming election and the challenges in Uganda. And the other video I have is the Trump administration claim about Al-Qaeda in Iran. So the Trump administration is almost over. They got a few days left, but still playing some role. And they put also Cuba, one of the sponsor of terrorism list. Obama fixed the relationship, but Trump messed it up. So they are attempting to make harder for the new administration to deal with Iran or Cuba or something like that. At the last time, like a few days left. We'll see. So here are the news and Concerned Citizens Media comment for January 12, 2021. Actually, it's January 13 already now. Mr. Jawar Mohammed, former CEO of Oromia Media Network, Oromo Federalist Congress Party official, and the strategist who brought Oromo Youth Movement victory against the TPLF-dominated Ethiopian politics in 2018, appeared at the federal court in Lideta, Addis Ababa today. Mr. Hamza Burana, Mr. Bekele and Mr. Dejene Tafa also joined Mr. Jawar Mohammed in the court for today's hearings. All these Oromo Federalist Congress officers were arrested by the Ethiopian Federal Police following the death of popular artist Hachalu Hundessa. So far, the Ethiopian government denied the independent investigation requested for this heinous crime. Mr. Jawar Mohammed, Hamza Borona, Bekele Garba, and Dejene Tafa rejected the Ethiopian government's serious crime claims against them by saying that the government is accusing them and keeping them in jail so that the ruling party can easily win the upcoming election. They all said they are the victims of political assassination and asked the judge to expedite their trial. and let them free so that they can compete in the upcoming election freely and fairly. Their hearing rescheduled to restart after 10 days at the request of the Ethiopian government attorneys. Concerned citizens' media disagrees with the Ethiopian judge's decision to allow the government attorneys to fix their claims against these individuals and come back to court with adjusted lawsuits. The judge should have dismissed the case if they are falsely claiming against these individuals who have been illegally arrested and subjected to unnecessary sufferings in Ethiopian jails. So the government attorneys requested 1 month. After argument, then the judge gave them 10 days to fix something and come back to court. I think that is wrong by itself. Once the authorities claim the crime against those, these are famous people, these are very senior politicians or officials. So the judge should see if there is credible evidence for that claim and call for witnesses and see, if these individuals are really did the crime the government is, accusing of them. So they're using different delaying tactics, in the same way like before, and that this is not fair. And we know the ruling party controls all the security structures, the police, the financial structures. Everything is under the ruling party. So concerned citizens media is not expecting fair and free trial in such kind of conditions. Anyway, the government requested 10 days. So the judge allowed to come back within 10 days and with some kind of amendment. And that should not be allowed. If the case is weak, the government claim, if the claim is weak, the case should have been dismissed, and that these people should have been freed and allow them to serve the public. They know these arrested individuals, Jawar, Hamza, Bekele, they know they have strong public support. So they have nothing to do with Haj Alu's killing. And it's obvious because the government has everything, the power, the government put them in jail, and now they're playing in the court system. So we keep following it and see what's going on. The Ethiopian Foreign Ministry spokesperson and the former ambassador in Egypt, Mr. Dina Mufti, accused Sudan violating the international law by crossing deep into Ethiopian territory by military force. Mr. Dina Mufti also denounced Sudan for heavily militarizing along the disputed border area of both countries. The spokesperson warned Sudan that Ethiopia's silence and wanting to resolve the border disputes through dialogues and diplomacy must not be seen as a sign of weakness. Mr. Dina also blamed external players who are pushing Sudan to go to war with Ethiopia, but he didn't mention who these external forces are. Solving the border disputes through peaceful means is the best solution for both nations, Mr. Dina Mufti added. Meanwhile, Sudan blamed Ethiopia for carrying out air raid on Sudanese side and for killing of 5 civilians today. No confirmation statement from Ethiopian side on this Sudanese claim. So it's a huge issue, and Sudan is deep into the territories of Ethiopia, and Ethiopia is dealing with internal issues, fighting TPLF and fighting in Benishangul, fighting in Oromia, so fighting with its own people instead of dealing with the border issue. According to different reports, Sudan is deep about 40 kilometers into Ethiopia's territory, and Ethiopia is talking about this quietly and through diplomatic means. And we know Ethiopia's hands are tied with internal conflict. The internal conflict could have been resolved through reconciliation and a dialogue. Now, Sudan see the weak point to cross and grab all the lands she wants. So that's the challenge we see. This is just breaking in. The House of Representatives voted in favor of Vice President Invoke 25 Amendment and remove President Donald Trump from White House. However, Mike Pence released a statement refusing to invoke the 25th Amendment and become the President of the United States for the next few days. But he refused. So the Congress is left with the option of impeaching President Donald Trump for the second time tomorrow. The act never happened before in American history. So Donald Trump will be the first president to be impeached twice. President Donald Trump is blamed for the mob's attacks on the U.S. Capitol on the 6th of January 2021. We got to wait and see how this president can be removed before his term is over with the next 7 or 8 days. Post-COVID-19 syndrome. Post-COVID-19 syndrome. This is Dr. Harry Tangaraj with SSM St. Clair Hospital in Fenton, Missouri, said post-COVID-19 syndrome can be any of 5 health issues. It can be mild or deadly if not caught early. We absolutely see patients who are in a complete recovery or near complete recovery and thinking that they are in a recovery and weeks later come down with symptoms, said Dr. Tangaraj. He says it is typically around 12 weeks after contracting COVID-19 that a patient may start to see symptoms of post-COVID-19 syndrome. These symptoms include dizziness, chest pain, heart palpitation, and leg swelling. So, if you have any symptoms, do take it seriously and get medical attention right away. And that is probably the best way to prevent long-term complication, advised Dr. Hari Tangaraj. Credit KMOV Channel 4. So that's the challenge of post-COVID-19 syndrome. So if these symptoms revealed, we should, whoever contracted COVID-19, so you have to watch out for these post-COVID-19 syndromes: dizziness, leg swelling, chest pain, and heart palpitations, and seek immediate medical attention. Uganda accuses Facebook of interfering in tense polls. A Uganda official accused Facebook of meddling in the East African country's election after several accounts linked to President Yoweri Museveni's campaign were removed for alleged inauthentic behavior. A presidential spokesman, Dan Wanyama, told the Associated Press on Monday that Facebook's action was evidence of what Uganda authorities see as outside support for Bobi Wine, the leading opposition candidate in the presidential election scheduled for Thursday, January 14, 2021. President Yoweri Museveni, 76, is seeking sixth term in the election after 35 years in power. Reuters and AFP are now reporting that the Uganda government shutting down all social media until further notice. This could be a retaliatory action by the government for the Facebook's closing of government-related accounts. The main contender, Bobi Wine, reported the government raiding his house and arresting his security guards on Tuesday. He also advised his supporters to stay at the polling places on Thursday and record the votes counting with the cell phones and cameras for evidence. So that's the upcoming Uganda election, and the challenge is very challenging because Yoweri Museveni has been in power in Uganda for 35 years, and he wanna continue, and it is an election must be watched. And Bobi Wine is a very tough candidate at this round, but Yoweri Museveni and his security forces, they are playing a dirty game by raiding his house, arresting him, arresting his supporters, and torturing them because they don't want this guy, to be a big challenge. They want to continue the Yoweri Museveni for the next, I don't know, as long as maybe he's alive. He is 76. He served, he's in power for 35 years, and he don't want to give up. He want to continue through using all the powers in hand through intimidation, through arresting, now by shutting down all social medias, Facebook, Instagram, all, WhatsApp. So we're going to follow it, and we will report to you as soon as it is available. It is on Thursday, and if it's open and free, Bobby Wine, he can win. But if it's not free, if it's not open, if it's full of intimidation, the 76 years old Yoweri Museveni will be president. That's the reality. So we will see. Okay, that's the reading part. And I have just a couple of short videos, and I'll be done for today. Okay, let's see. Okay, the first one is United States claim about Al-Qaeda establishing a base in Iran. This is a very tough claim, and we know the Trump administration is very has aggressive policy against Iran. We know, but they are in the last days of their administration. But we'll see. Okay, let's see. Let's listen to Mr. Pompeo, U.S. Secretary's claim.
Assertion without any hard evidence in what appears to be a last-minute offensive against Tehran as Pompeo and the rest of the Trump administration prepare to leave power in Washington. He also said he could confirm the death of Al-Qaeda's Abu Muhammad al-Masri. That death was reported last year. Al-Masri gunned down by Israeli operatives in Iran.
Al-Qaeda has a new home base. It is the Islamic Republic of Iran. As a result, bin Laden's wicked creation is poised to gain strength and capabilities. We ignore this Iran-Al-Qaeda nexus at our own peril. We need to acknowledge it. We must confront it. Indeed, we must defeat it.
So let's start with Alan Fisher at the White House. Alan, we were talking last hour about things that usually happened in the last week of an administration. How does this sort of sit in that usual time frame?
It's certainly not unheard of, but it is rather unusual that the Secretary of State would make such a speech and that he would declassify information during a speech, drawing links between Al-Qaeda and Iran. Just by contrast, these rumours, these stories, these allegations have been around for some considerable time, over a number of years. Even before 9/11, there was talk of Iran having connections with Al-Qaeda. Certainly the intelligence community has always been very sceptical of that idea. Mike Pompeo has always been keen to demonize Iran. He's very much behind Donald Trump's idea of maximum pressure. He is, of course, a former CIA director, so he will get intelligence across his desk that some in the intelligence community won't even see. But we know that the Center for Strategic and International Studies, very important think tank here in the United States, at the end of 2019 published a report that suggested the links between Al-Qaeda and Iran are very small indeed, and suggested that if there were high-profile members of Al-Qaeda, there was maybe no more than 5 living in Iran. That really doesn't matter to Mike Pompeo, of course. He will suggest that if you've got one, you've got more than enough. There's a concern that Mike Pompeo is doing two things. First of all, making it very difficult for the Biden administration, the incoming Biden administration, to make any sort of peace moves towards Iran, for any sort of rapprochement, to make sure that the two nations get on better, and perhaps even consider going back into the Iran nuclear deal, which was negotiated by Joe Biden's old boss, Barack Obama's administration. The second thing that some people on the Hill are very concerned about is that by tying al-Qaeda to Iran, then Mike Pompeo and Donald Trump and the administration would then have an excuse to launch some sort of attack in Iran itself. Now, to go and do that sort of thing, you would normally need congressional approval. Given that the House is controlled by Democrats, given that the Senate is now controlled by Democrats, you're not going to get that. However, there is an ongoing authorization for the use of military force which targets al-Qaeda. So if you could go and say, well, we weren't attacking Iran, we were attacking members of al-Qaeda, that is why we carried out that attack. That would certainly give them that. And we know that there's been some concern, particularly since the turn of the year, that Donald Trump might be planning some sort of assault on Iran. There's nothing really concrete to back that up, just some grumbling, some chatter in the intelligence community, annoying fear for some, but that would certainly be a way to explain any action that they take if they say, well, there is this authorization for the use of military force against al-Qaeda, that is why we launched that assault. Not saying that anything like that is going to happen, but that is in a way trying to put that Pompeo speech in some sort of context.
And so why say all of this now, as we point out, so close to the end of the administration? Is this, I mean, one of the reasons, maybe another attempt